Welcome, divers. In this video, I want to tell you who I am. Not the YouTube algorithm-friendly version. That'd never work. This kind of video would never go anywhere if I posted on YouTube. But the real version. The one that explains why this channel exists and who I am. At DiveWise, the idea is simple. Every dive, your adventure. I wasn't born into wealth. I was born into a family where adventure was something you watched on TV. And if I wanted a bigger life, I had to build it. I grew up with two dreams that didn't seem to fit together. I wanted stability and I wanted freedom. I wanted to travel. I wanted to chase big experiences. But I also knew that I couldn't outrun reality. I had to solve the money problem first. My parents couldn't help me with that. They couldn't even help me with college. So if I wanted education, I needed good grades, community scholarships, and urgency to figure it out on my own. I remember realizing early that nobody was going to co-sign my dreams. If I wanted it, I had to earn it with my own two hands. And I'm skipping a lot of details here. But if you have questions, drop them. And if there's interest, I'll go deeper into future episodes. At first, I thought the answer was a job that came with travel. Something like working on a cruise ship. It sounded like a shortcut to the life I wanted. But then, I had a moment that changed everything. It wasn't dramatic to anyone else, but it was decisive to me. I still remember where I was when my mom said it, and I was thinking about a fast way out, the easy way to get moving. And she looked at me and essentially said, go get your foundation first. She told me to go back to school and get a computer science degree. She said this computer thing was going to catch on. And this was back when cell phones were gigantic. Desktops were the norm. And the internet was still more of a rumor than a reality. But something about that moment landed. It wasn't inspiring. It was sobering. It was the longer road. And I took it. So I doubled down on engineering. Not because it was easy. Because it was reliable. Because it could fund the life I wanted later. Engineering didn't magically solve anything overnight. It was a staircase, and every step came with a new wall. Math, communication, focus, coding, deadlines, leadership, and confidence. But I developed a pattern. When I hit a wall, I didn't negotiate with it. I studied, I practiced, I asked for mentorship when I needed it. I repeated the reps until the wall wasn't a wall anymore. I didn't always feel talented, but I learned how to be relentless. I started in roles where people were hesitant to call me an engineer. Titles like test engineer, analyst, support roles. I kept sharpening my craft. I kept building real experience. And eventually, I earned my engineering title. And I eventually solved that money problem too. And then when I did, I didn't buy a fancy life. I bought access to a bigger one. I started local first. The Cascades around Seattle. Backpacking, hiking, mountaineering. And here's the part that surprised me. The mountain didn't care about my job title. Out there, you're judged by preparation, your mindset, your discipline, your humility. When I first learned to ski, I was horrible. So I did the same runs over and over again, right under the lift, fixing one small thing at a time. And yeah, people laughed. They'd yell things like sucks to suck. Could really hurt your ego if you let it. But I kept going. I kept doing the reps, week after week, season after season. And over time, that effort compounded until my wife and I were skiing steep double diamonds and chasing bigger lines. And when we go into the backcountry, it's the same mindset. Respect the conditions, do the work, stay humble. And in the same turn, I continued to climb the corporate ladder and eventually held exclusively leadership roles such as architect, manager, and so forth. When some think of double diamonds, they think danger and scary. But after all those reps, I look at double diamonds and see fun. And that's probably the best way to describe my personality in a nutshell. I'm not someone who looks for shortcuts. I drill and hone my blade until something becomes achievable. And I always approach it as an engineer, looking to do it in the safest way possible at all times. But somewhere along the way, I met my wife. Same career, same drive, same appetite for adventure. And when you find someone who runs your speed, your world expands. Our first date was hiking a mountain, and deep down, I knew we were going to go places. We learned to scuba dive early in our relationship together for our first time, and diving didn't just add another hobby. It changed how we saw the planet. The first time I dropped beneath the surface, something clicked. The silence, the weightlessness, the feeling that the world got bigger in the most unexpected direction. Down. I fought through equalization problems just to get there. And when I finally made it to the bottom, I was clumsy at first, bumbling around the sand, trying to remember how to exist in this new world. And then I looked up, and I really saw it, a true 3D environment. Fish moving around the reef like traffic, clownfish guarding their anemones, fish grazing algae like tiny underwater farmers. And I remember thinking, I had no idea the world was like this. I had no idea it could feel like this. Over the years, my wife and I traveled hard, more than 50 countries, countless dives. And the more I saw, the more one truth sharpened. Life is not meant to be postponed forever. Then came what I call my enough moment. My fuck this moment, if you will. At work, I had become emotionally invested. I cared, I pushed, I built, and I eventually found myself pinned in a game I no longer wanted to play. Outmaneuvered by people whose goal wasn't excellence. It was endurance. Wear you down. Drain you out. I hit burnout. Not the trendy kind. The kind where you can feel your spirit getting smaller. I was working long hours, leading a team of engineers, holding their morale together like glue, making the hard calls, laying people off, carrying the weight of decisions that didn't feel human. And I remember one night realizing I couldn't shut my brain off. I was exhausted, but I couldn't sleep. And I thought, if this was the cost, I'm not paying it forever. At that low point, I made a quiet decision. If I was going to pour this much of myself into something, it had to mean more. I wanted contribution. I wanted agency. I wanted a life where my effort pointed toward my values. I started looking for a path out that still honored who I am. Not an escape, a build. I'm an engineer, after all. A new ladder. I tried a few directions. Travel. Adventure travel. Different angles. And eventually I came back to the thing that had the strongest pull. Scuba diving. At first, I was hesitant because I love other extreme sports too. And committing to just one lane felt like giving something up. But scuba had something I couldn't ignore. It wasn't just adrenaline. It was wonder. It was skill. It was community. It was the ocean's raw truth. And it demanded a kind of growth I respected. So I decided to go deeper, literally and metaphorically. Not just as a recreational diver, but into the technical and professional realms of diving. Because I wanted to be truly more proficient. I wanted to earn the knowledge the hard way. Training, accreditation, experience in real conditions. And I want to share that journey honestly. Not as an instructor, not as some kind of coach, but as an avid diver and videographer chasing real dives and real stories. Trying to get better, being humble, staying humble along the way. Trying to help other divers think clearly, dive safer, and care more. Because the more you know, the more you love and protect the ocean. And that's where I am today. All in, full steam ahead. Building a channel that can fund a life of adventure and meaningful work. And inviting you to follow along in a way that feels possible for you too. And if this story resonates and you want to help me build this the right way, Membership is the most direct way to support. And either way, I'm grateful for you to be here. The story isn't finished, and I'm glad you're here to be a part of it. Next for me is more training, cave dive training, deeper tech training, advanced rec, more experience, better videos, a wider community, more humility, more stories, and every dive your adventure. Until next time.